Welcome back to the Today Show. Your host, Christopher Power, and with us today is the published Karen Grassley. Now, Karen, on your website, I have a really neat section that I absolutely loved, and it's called Story Time, where you're reading out of all of those children's books. What's your favorite?
Oh, well, my very favorite is a very old book. It was called Stories That Never Grow Old. And it was a book my mother read to me. And it's full of stories that have a good lesson in them for children, but told in such a charming way. They're classic stories, things like the Bremen Town Musicians and the Ugly Duckling, stories that we've all heard in different iterations. And this was a beautifully illustrated book published back in the 30s, or I don't know, maybe even as late as 1940, and given to me when I was a little girl. So I started out with that book thinking, oh, there are so many parents at home with these little kids and time to fill, and teachers with time to fill online. And I could give them a 10-minute break by reading a story. And so that's what I did. And I would read one a week and then say a little something about what the story meant to me. And it was really a fun project.
Are you still doing that? I mean, I know you're on stage at the production of On Golden Pond. Are you still able to
No,
find time in your schedule to do them?
no, I did about 40 of them, which is sizable amount. And then, life started to change. Kids started going back to school and so on. And then I
Okay.
moved on to promoting the book and now doing this play.
Is there any type of message that you can give to the children, everything that you're doing, out of all the books that you've read, the 40 of them that you've put out there, is there one book has a special message that speaks to you and that really needs to the younger generation?
Oh, gee. I can't think of which book, but to me, the lesson that I'm most engaged with right now is the lesson of the value of kindness. Life is so difficult right now for so many people, and there are so many scary things out there that the least we can do is just try to be kind to each other. You know, I think people are really having a hard time now, and it's understandable.
Yeah. Well, that's really what we need, more kindness and patience in the world, and I'm happy that you said that. Now, you also had the opportunity to star in a heartwarming production of a movie called Not to Forget. What was it about this script that really drew you to the film?
Well, my character was suffering from dementia, but she was one of those dementia patients who was happy. She rarely was having those episodes of paranoia or bad hallucinations. And that was what happened to my mother, was that she, in her very later years, suffered from dementia, and it grew worse over time. But she was somehow healthy within it, which was very unusual. What I mean is, her attitude remained good most of the time. And my sister and brother in law had her living with them. And I said to my brother in law, this is just I can never thank you enough for doing this. And he said, oh, she's no trouble. She was some trouble before she came to her end. And um, my sister made a lot of sacrifices to take care of our mom, but it gave her a very safe space, you know. So I was extremely lucky.
So when we look at the character and how you yourself in that role, my assumption is going to be that you drew on a lot of your own from the situation with your mother to kind of get you into that mindset of that. Would that be fair?
Yes, as you probably remember from my book, a lot of Carolyn is based on my mother, and the character in the movie Not to Forget is also based on my mother. And what I realize is that there are parts of my mother that are on stage here every night in this production of On Golden Pond. You know, her influence is just huge. It's good to think about the influence that mothers have. And so many times I'm sure it seems so thankless, you know, just showing up and getting the meals on the table and sitting down with that math homework. But the impact is enormous on the character. My parents really taught me and my sister the values of honesty and hard work and being engaged, and it's invaluable.
Like what you said, being a parent is a very thankless job, whether father or mother. I know my probably one of my biggest admirers with what I do, loudest in the corner to cheer for me. That's for sure. Now, when we look at the film of Not to Forget, there's actually this scene that I kind of fell in love with, where and you are playing piano. Are you actually playing?
No, I don't know how to play the piano.
Oh, well, that's really neat because I was like, oh wow, that's such a really neat hidden talent there.
Yeah, well, that's acting.
I'm wondering if you could share some light on your opinion. I mean, a lot of people, when they hear of dementia and Alzheimer's, they hear of a 36-hour day. Are you able to kind of comment
Yes.
on what that really means?
My sister told me when this happened to our mother to read that book, and it was invaluable to me, and I have recommended it to so many people. The 36-hour day really gives you very, very good advice on how to cope and how to be with the person and not be trying to get them to be in our world. It's just tremendous. There's another book that came out just before we made the movie. I think it's called Rethinking Dementia. It's by a doctor whose mother suffered from dementia. And it's a very important book because she's pointing out to us that while we're all talking about cures for Alzheimer's, more and more of our population is growing older and older. And the character in our play is having trouble remembering things.
Oh,
And everybody wants to help them get over that. But in fact, huge portion of our population is going to be forgetting. And how are we going to cope with this health crisis? And what is our point of cure, cure, cure? Maybe curing isn't the thing. Maybe rethinking how we treat these patients and whether or not we think it's worthwhile to send them to the ER, which we had a very strong do not resuscitate for my mom, which is what she wanted. She said, do not hook me up to anything. And
mm,
we were able to find a wonderful hospice and she was able to die very peacefully there.
That's beautiful. We're going to take a quick break.
Thank you.